All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
You know how much we all love languages, and I'm so excited for this one.
Me too. This is a good one.
Yeah. So we're going to be getting into essential vocabulary today,
Yeah.
which is so important if you're...
It's like the foundation of everything, right?
It is totally the foundation, and it's something that people always want to know more about, like, how can I learn more vocabulary? How can I make it stick?
How can I do it faster? How can I do it better? All those good questions.
Exactly. And thankfully, we have a really awesome source to help us break it down. Today, we're going to be diving into an episode.
A really good one.
Yes, of the Fluency First podcast. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, yeah. I love Fluency First. Those hosts know their stuff.
They really do.
They always have the best guests, too.
Yeah, so they had a really good episode recently all about building essential vocabulary. And they had so many good tips in there. So I figured...
Let's break it down.
Let's do it. So one of the first things that really stood out to me that they talked about was high-frequency words.
Ooh, good one.
Right. So instead of just like opening the dictionary and being like, I'm just going to learn every word.
Right. You got to prioritize.
Yeah.
You got to be strategic.
You do. And so high-frequency words are basically the words that are used most often in a language.
Exactly. And you know what's so cool about that? You probably already know a lot of them.
Yeah. That was the other thing they said, like, you probably already know more than you think.
Way more. And like those little words especially, they're so important, even if they don't feel very glamorous.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the big fancy vocabulary that you're going to be like, oh, yeah, let me just whip this one out in conversation.
Right.
But it's the stuff that you need for, like, the basic building blocks of communication.
Absolutely.
And I thought it was really interesting. They were talking about how, like, just the top 1,000 words in a language can get you surprisingly far.
So far.
If you think about it.
Yeah, because think about all those conversations you have every single day.
Right.
It's the same basic words over and over again.
Exactly. And, you're ordering food or you're,
asking for directions.
asking for directions or just like greeting someone.
Totally. And like those little words, the connecting words and but, because
yes.
those are high frequency words too, and they really make a difference.
They do. They really tie it all together and they make you sound more fluent, even if you're not using,
Yeah, you don't have to be like a walking thesaurus.
Exactly. Just to be clear.
Right.
That's not what we're going for here.
No, we're going for like smooth communication.
Exactly. So we've got our high frequency words down. But now here's where I used to really struggle. Back in the day when we used to have to memorize those like giant vocabulary lists.
Oh, don't even get me started on those.
I know.
The flashcard nightmares.
Yes. Thankfully, Fluency First is totally with us on this one. They are not about that rote memorization life.
No, they're all about context, right?
Yes. Context is king, they said.
Makes sense, right? Think about how you learn words in real life.
Okay, yeah. So explain that a little bit more for me.
Like, you don't just see the word dog floating around in isolation.
Right.
You see a dog, you hear someone say dog, you pet a dog.
You smell a dog.
You smell a dog, exactly. So all those senses, all that context helps your brain connect the word with the actual meaning.
So it's like instead of just dog, that's a cute dog.
Exactly. Or don't let the dog out, or I love dog biscuits.
Right. Suddenly, it's not just a word on a page. It's part of a memory and experience.
Totally. It's alive, it's vibrant, and that's what makes it stick.
It makes so much more sense than just trying to cram these random words into your brain.
It's like trying to fit puzzle pieces together without seeing the picture,
Exactly. So how do we actually put this context thing into practice?
Fluency First had some really cool ideas for this.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
All right, so first up, grouping vocab by themes.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
So instead of having like, apple, book, car, all in a row.
Right, total randomness.
It's like, okay, what are all the words I need to know about traveling?
Exactly, or cooking, or sports, or whatever you're into.
Yeah. So you're learning words that are actually relevant to your life.
Absolutely. And when you're passionate about something, you're way more likely to remember the words associated with it.
That's so true. Passion is key.
Yeah.
Okay, so grouping vocab by themes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What else do they have?
Okay, so this next one is super simple, but crazy effective. They talked about labeling things around your house.
Ooh, yeah. I love this one.
It's so good. Like, literally, grab a Post-it note and write the word for refrigerator.
Right. Or window or a table.
Exactly. And every time you walk past it, you're getting a little mini lesson.
It's like passive learning at its finest.
Right. Your brain is absorbing that information even when you don't realize it.
And it makes you actually pay attention to your surroundings. Like
Oh, yeah.
how often do we just walk around our homes and just completely zone out?
All the time.
Yeah.
We're on autopilot.
Exactly. But this labeling thing, it kind of forces you to be more present and aware.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like mindfulness meets language learning.
I love it. Okay, so we've got themes, we've got labeling. What about like actually immersing yourself in the language?
Yes. They had a whole thing about this.
Hmm.
And don't worry, they totally get it, that not everyone can just hop on a plane and fly to a new country.
Yeah, because that's always the advice, right? Just immerse yourself.
Right. Like it's that easy.
Yeah, just buy a plane ticket, no big deal.
Exactly. But Fluency First, they gave some really practical tips for creating that immersion experience right at home.
Okay, tell me everything.
All right, so first up, think about all the amazing content we have access to these days.
Yeah, like streaming services and stuff.
Exactly. Movies, TV shows, music podcasts, you name it. It's all at our fingertips.
And in so many different languages.
Exactly. So instead of watching your favorite show with subtitles, try switching the audio to your target language.
Oh, that's a good one. Even if I don't understand everything at
It's
first.
still soaking in. Your brain is like, what is this magical language I'm hearing?
Right. It's getting used to the sounds, the rhythms, the intonation.
Exactly. And the more you listen, the more those sounds will start to make sense.
It's like when you listen to a song enough times and then you finally look up the lyrics and you're like, oh, that's what they were saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's your brain making those connections.
So it's like training your ear without even realizing it.
Exactly. And it's fun. Who doesn't love a good binge-watching session?
Right. It's not like studying. It's just enjoying amazing content.
And your brain is secretly thanking you in the background.
I love those secret brain benefits. Okay, so we've got watching TV, listening to music. What else falls under this immersion umbrella?
Well, they also talk about the power of social media,
Oh, yeah.
like changing the language settings on your phone.
Exactly. Or following creators who post in your target language.
Oh, that's such a good idea. So even if I'm just scrolling through Instagram,
Boom. Language learning.
right, it's like those little snippets of exposure throughout the day can really add up.
Totally. And it keeps things interesting. You're learning about new things. You're connecting with people from different cultures.
It's like you're getting a little taste of what it's like to live in a different part of the world. Exactly.
Hmm.
And that can be incredibly motivating,
Yeah.
especially when you're feeling stuck or discouraged.
Yeah, because then it's not just about like, oh, I need to learn this language. It's like, oh, I want to connect with these people. I want to understand this culture.
Exactly. It gives you that deeper sense of purpose.
It's so important to have that why behind the what, right?
Absolutely. All right, so we've talked about immersion, but Fluency First also had some really interesting things to say about technology.
Ooh, yes. Language learning apps are kind of my jam.
Mine too. They're like having a personal tutor in your pocket.
They are. Okay, so what did Fluency First say about these magical apps? So they're all about the apps. Give me the inside scoop. What did they say?
Well, they particularly love this thing called spaced repetition. Have you heard of that?
Spaced repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to help you remember things better, but
It's all about timing, right?
how does it actually work?
Basically, it's like these apps, they track which words you're learning, and they kind of figure out when you're most likely to forget them,
Sneaky.
right? And then right before you're about to hit that forgetting point, boom, they quiz you on it again.
So it's like they're staying one step ahead of my brain.
Exactly. It's like having a personal trainer for your vocabulary.
I like it. So I'm guessing Fluency First is pro-spaced repetition then?
Oh, yeah, they're big fans.
Yeah.
And you know what else they're into? Mnemonics.
Mnemonics. Oh, you mean like those little memory tricks?
Yes. Like using rhymes or acronyms or even like crazy little stories to remember things.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I used to think those were kind of silly.
I know, right?
But they actually work.
They do.
Hmm.
Our brains are wired for those weird connections.
It's true. The weirder, the better, I found.
Right, like Fluency First. They gave this example for the Spanish word for butterfly, mariposa. They said, imagine a butterfly marrying a post.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm never going to forget that now.
Right, and it's so much easier than just trying to force that word into your brain.
Totally. Okay, so we've got all these tools and techniques for learning new words, but here's the big question. What if I'm just not ready to, like, actually speak the language yet?
That's totally normal. It can feel really intimidating to put yourself out there.
It does, especially at first. So what did Fluency First have to say about that?
Well, they had this really great piece of advice, and it might sound a little out there, but they said, Talk to yourself.
Talk to myself, like in the language I'm learning.
Exactly. It might feel a little strange at first, but it's actually incredibly effective.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful. You're not worried about making mistakes in front of anyone.
Right. And you can practice different scenarios like ordering food or asking for
I'm
directions.
even just like narrating your day.
Exactly. It's all about getting those words out there, even if it's just to yourself.
And they had some other tips for practicing, right? Like, what about those imaginary conversations?
Oh, yeah, those are great. Like, pretend you're chatting with a native speaker.
Yeah. Or even just like having a conversation in your
It's
head.
like a mental rehearsal for the real thing.
I love that. So it's not about being perfect, it's about just getting comfortable with the language.
Exactly. The more you use it, the more natural it will become.
This whole deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like Fluency First really hit the nail on the head with their approach.
I agree. It's not about cramming or stressing. It's about making it fun and relevant to your life.
Right. It's about enjoying the journey. Well, that's about all the time we have for today, but I hope this deep dive has inspired you to go out there and start building your essential vocabulary.
Me too. And remember, even small steps can make a big difference.
Absolutely. So download that language app, label your coffee mug, or even just try talking to yourself in a new language. You got this.
And have fun with it. That's what it's all about.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.